Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Devils TV. Now Manchester United beat Wolves 1-0 at Molineux. I mean, where do I start? It was an interesting game, that's for sure. The first half I found the forward line very slow, they weren't pragmatic enough. They were very stiff. And I felt like Garnacho was our best forward in that first half. Martial wasn't good enough in that game, and it just shows exactly why we need a forward in January and as soon as possible, really. Anthony looked really sluggish, his speed wasn't up there. He looked very slow as well, he didn't look as sharp as he normally is. So the fact that Garnacho, who was also took off at half-time for Rashford, which we'll get onto in a moment, was, for me, an interesting substitution because it felt like Erik ten Hag wanted a more senior front line, but he wanted to punish Rashford for obviously the not misconduct. What was it? It was the disciplinary or something that was why Rashford didn't start today. And Laurie Whitwell tweeted about it, about how Marcus Rashford has been dropped today because of a disciplinary where he was late to a team meeting or something like that. So for me, it shows two things. One, that Erik ten Hag will drop anyone if you're not being a professional, which I think is amazing because it shows that Rashford's been one of United's best players at the moment. And the fact that Erik ten Hag is saying, look, you're not, just because you're performing really well at the moment doesn't mean that the rules apply differently to you. You show up on time like everyone else, and he got dropped today. So obviously Rashford did score 2 goals today, but it did end up 1-0 but Rashford's second goal was ruled out offside. Now for me, it wasn't really an offside. It was poor officiating. I can't remember which Wolves player it was, but they were about 20 yards out and it hit their arm or something. It wasn't given a pen to United or something, but then Rashford scores a goal. So which player was it? It hit their arm, like their arms were out, so they were in an unnatural position, and it hit their arm, and it wasn't a penalty or a close free kick to Manchester United. But then Rashford shoots the ball, it deflects off the keeper, and then Rashford, while jumping over the keeper, his arms are literally by his side, and it hits his arm, and it goes in the back of the net. So I just don't understand VAR. It's very inconsistent, and this is why I hate it. And I feel like it would be a lot better if it wasn't a part of the game. But anyway, let's move on. So with today, obviously I've already described the forward line. I think they were good enough. The midfield, again, really solid. It was a great performance from the midfield. And Casemiro, Bruno looking great as always. Well, Bruno, I talked in my preview about how Bruno needs to have a good game, and he got his assist today, so that's good to see. But also, I feel like that Bruno had a better game than what he's recently been having, but he still looks a bit sluggish. I don't know. He needs to come off free kicks, that's for sure. Take Bruno Fernandes off free kicks. Either you put Luke Shaw on him or you put Eriksen on him. You don't put Bruno Fernandes on free kicks anymore. There's too many times where they're going nowhere near the target, or he's just going straight into the wall. He's not putting goalkeepers under enough pressure when it comes to free kicks. So I would take Bruno Fernandes off set pieces. Maybe not corners because he's got a good cross on him. But I feel like Eriksen is better at set pieces than Bruno Fernandes is. Speaking of Eriksen, I felt like the substitution was right today when he got took off for Fred, because Eriksen didn't really impact the game enough. And this is why I've said many times that I personally feel like Eriksen should be playing where Bruno is and Bruno should be playing where Eriksen is, because at least Bruno gets stuck in a challenge. I feel like Eriksen just doesn't get stuck in enough to be playing as deep as he has been, being Casemiro's pretty much main partner. So Fred came on and actually did okay. I mean, he made a deliberate foul near the edge of the box, which was a smart tactic because Daniel Podence was just running through United's midfield during that attack. So Fred, really smart, just took him out to make sure that he didn't cause any threat, which was a smart move from Fred. So I give him applause to that. Who else can we talk about? Wan-Bissaka as well had another great game. He played really, really well. Raphael Varane played superb again. I mean, you've just got to give Varane credit about how he's literally been in a World Cup final, and the day after he's back in training at Manchester United, plays against Nottingham Forest, and now he's played against Wolves. That's 2 clean sheets in a row for Raphael Varane. He's come back from a World Cup final. He's just a machine. He's clearly our best centre-back. He's clearly our most natural leader in my eyes, alongside with Casemiro. So I would honestly be considering making them captain if they stay next season, which they should do. Luke Shaw, he played good in the first half. He was pretty crucial to United's formation in the first half, where obviously he was pinging balls to Antony, pinging them out wide to Garnacho, and obviously switching a little bit with Malacia. Obviously Malacia was the more left back role in today's game, but Luke Shaw still showed that he is still a primary left back, and he got forward, he carried on, he played the high line with Varane, and when Casemiro dropped back really well. So for me, it was a good performance from Luke Shaw. Malacia, I felt he looked a bit shaky in the first half, but then he got better as the game went on. So I feel like the first half as well was very controversial, because it didn't look like United were doing enough. We looked defensive solid. Our defence looked solid, and our midfield looked like we weren't going to get overrun. But the forwards just weren't doing enough. But again, there was not enough creativity from players like Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen. Now, second half starts, it's 0-0. Rashford comes on for Garnacho, which for me was confusing, because Garnacho was our most forward, who was creating the most, who was looking the most dangerous. And for me, I just thought that he would have took off Antony or Martial, because they were obviously not doing enough. But he kept him on, and Garnacho came off. Obviously, Rashford scores the goal in the 75th minute or something like that. And obviously, the game ends 1-0. But for me, I felt like Rashford was given man of the match by the officiators of BT Sports, which for me, that was wrong, because just because he scores the winning goal doesn't mean he deserves man of the match. I felt like the BT, the pundits and everyone gave him man of the match because of they didn't know who to give it to. For me, my man of the match would be one of 3 players. Would have either been Casemiro, Raphael Varane, or David De Gea. And you might think, why David De Gea? I've not spoken about him yet, but this is why I've been saving it. I want to speak about David De Gea quickly. That free kick from Ruben Neves shows what a free kick taker actually is. Ruben Neves is a quality free kick taker. He's miles above Bruno Fernandes when it comes to free kicks. And to make that judgment and be quick on his feet to make that save, and it wasn't like it was a bottom corner or side netting. It was pretty much top corner, which was crazy for me. And it just shows you how quality Ruben Neves is, and no doubt he'll move from Wolves in the summer. I don't think he'll come to United. I think he'll end up somewhere like Barcelona, maybe Real Madrid, maybe Italy or something like that. I don't think he'll end up at a Premier League club, that's for sure. But yeah, also with David De Gea as well, that final save from the corner as well was brilliant. That's the game winner. That's the game winner there. Rashford scored a goal. He's done his job. Well done, Rashford. But David De Gea, what a save that was. Who's the corner take? I'm not too sure. I think it was Johnny, maybe. Anyway, Wolves had a corner. It swung in, and Raul Jimenez headers the ball, and it forces David De Gea to sit on his backside, but he saves it. And that there is the game winner, because that's obviously kept United the clean sheet. It's kept United to stay 1-0 up. That is the game winner for me, not Rashford's goal. So that's why I probably edge David De Gea over everyone else for man of the match. But that's just my opinion, and I thought it was a good game. It's a great way for United to end 2022. It's the first time this season United have actually been in 4th place and in the top 4. So it's good to know that United are going into the new year 4th place. I know Spurs play tomorrow, and hopefully they lose that, so United have a 1 game in hand on Spurs. and also we're a few points ahead of him. I think it's 1 or 2 points we're currently ahead of him right now. But my player ratings, I'll just give him real quickly. So David De Gea, for me, my man of the match. I would give him probably a 7.5 out of 10. I thought he's kept his clean sheet. He had a few crucial saves that needed to keep us in the game. So that's why I give David De Gea a 7.5. Wan-Bissaka, I'll give a 7 to. I think he's had another solid performance. He's done really well since Dalot's been injured. No doubt Dalot will probably play against Bournemouth in our next fixture. But Wan-Bissaka, you've played you've played incredibly since you've had to come in and be our right back. So it's good that he's actually stepped up to the plate and we're not playing Lindelof or Malacia at right back. We've got an natural right back. Varane, I'll give us. You know what? I'm going to eliminate De Gea. I'm going to give him an 8. And I'm going to give Varane a 7.5 because I feel like now thinking about it, I can't give Varane and Wan-Bissaka the same score. And I don't think Wan-Bissaka was justified to deserve a 6.5, which is just above average, which I don't think he was. I thought every player played quite well today, apart from, I'm going to mention a few players in a minute. But yeah, I'll give David De Gea an 8. I'm going to stick with Wan-Bissaka with my 7. And we'll give Varane my 7.5. I thought he played really well. The way he conducts our back four, I've already talked about. He's just come back from the World Cup and he's kept 2 clean sheets already. He's the Varane that we bought him from Real Madrid. And he's a lot better than what he has been the last season. Luke Shaw, another solid performance at left back. I would give him a 7. I felt like Luke Shaw is it was a big statement today playing Luke Shaw at centre back again, because I thought that Martinez would start, and obviously I know he's only just come back into training, but I still think that Luke Shaw keeping Maguire and Lindelof out of the team is a big statement. Malacia, I'm going to give a 6.5 to. I feel like he was just above average. He had a decent game. He looked a bit shaky in the first half. He let a few players run past him, but then he caught back up. He didn't really let anyone bully him or anything like that. So I give Malacia a decent performance there. I give him a 6.5. Casemiro, I'll give him the same score as Varane, actually, a 7.5, because I felt like Casemiro, he just makes the difference. I always say this about Casemiro. He won't get your headlines, but he is world class. And the fact that Casemiro has just changed this United midfield. Like last season, right? United fans would probably go into this game against Wolves nervous because every game we went against, we always felt like we'd lose a midfield battle. But since Casemiro's come in and kept that back four steady, he's shown how important a natural holding midfielder is for your system. So Casemiro, hats off to you. I'll take my hat off, but yeah, you're absolutely incredible, mate. Eriksen, I'm going to give an average 6 to Eriksen today because I felt like he didn't really do enough. I felt like that when Fred came on, it was a justified substitution. So yeah, I thought that it was a good substitution by Erik ten Hag, and it was the right decision. So yeah, Eriksen I'd give a 6 to. Bruno Fernandes, I'll give the same score as Malacia. I'll give him a 6.5. I felt like he had a better game than what he's recently had, which is what I wanted, and I said about in the preview. My cat's just scratching at the door. But no, Bruno Fernandes, I give a 6.5 to. He had a decent game. Right, 1 second. Oh, Popeye, come on. Go on. Here you go. Oh. Right, I'm back. So yeah, where was I? Bruno Fernandes. He had a decent game. He had a better game than what he's recently had in my eyes. He obviously the first goal with Rashford as well. I actually don't think Bruno got the assist. It was quite weird because I thought he got the assist, and when I looked at the Fantasy Premier League app, I've got Bruno in my Fantasy Premier League, and it says that he's got an assist, but then it's been ruled out for Rashford just to have a goal by himself with no one assisting him. So I'll have to look into that. Antony, I would give a 6 to. That's the first 6 of this. With Eriksen, I just felt like Antony just wasn't good enough. I felt like that he looked very sluggish. He didn't look up to. Where was his pace? He wasn't running at defenders. He kept stopping. He was very frustrating today, Antony. And I still stick with Antony. I still hope he adapts to the Premier League, but it's starting to look a bit ropey for him now, to be honest. And I hope that his form gets to where it was when he first joined United, where he scored in his first few games. So yeah, hopefully Anthony improves. Martial is going to get my lowest score today. I'm going to give Martial a 5.5 out of 10, which is below average. I just felt like this Martial just proves why we need a centre forward, why we need that striker, that out and out number 9. Martial, some fans call him lazy. I just call him Martial, to be honest. I just felt like he just wasn't making enough runs. I felt like he just was holding up the play way too much and just wasn't creating enough when he had the ball, or wasn't causing the defence any danger. He had a very poor performance today in my eyes, which I still back, because obviously Martial has been very decent for us over recent times. But, I mean, he scored against Nottingham Forest. But if you're not creating anything, or you're not doing anything to make yourself look good, then, you know, you're not going to get anywhere. So, yes, Martial gets the lowest score for me today, which is 5.5. Garnacho for me is going to get a 6.5. I felt like Garnacho was our best forward in the first half, and he didn't deserve to be taken off. I would have at least took off Martial in the first half and brought Rashford on at half time, and then maybe substituted Elanga as the game went on. But that's just what I would do. But yeah, that's just what I thought. Garnacho played really well. There was a chance where he hit it straight at the keeper, but he should have took it to his left, and then he would have had an open net. But Jose Sarr did really well for that save. He made himself look massive. He probably put Garnacho under a lot of pressure. So it was good goalkeeping from Jose Sarr. Going into the substitutions, Rashford, I'm going to give a 7.5 to. Obviously, he scored the goal that we needed to win the game, but as I've already said, De Gea gets my man of the match because of De Gea obviously getting that last minute save, which kept the clean sheet and kept us winning the game. But yes, Rashford's in the form of his life. He's playing really, really well, and I just look forward to seeing him continue and get better and better. Fred, I'd give him a 6.5. I felt like he did better than Eriksen in that game for when he came on. He had a good few minutes. His passing looked quite well. So yeah, Fred deserves a 6.5 to me. There's not really too much that you need to talk about Fred. Van der Beek came on for Martial. For me, Van der Beek, he had a few he tried creating a few chances, but he passed it to Rashford, but they got intercepted by a Wolves player. I think it was Buller, I think it was, or Collins. And he tried a little bit, but I'd give Van der Beek a 6 out of 10. I just think he wasn't on the pitch long enough to actually create anything or to stand out, if that makes sense. He came on as a substitute quite late on in the match, and he just didn't really do too much in my eyes. And then, as extra time starts, Erik ten Hag brings on Elanga and Maguire. So I'd just give them both 6s. They just didn't do enough for coming on. They're just not really much worth talking about. Maguire, when De Gea made that last stop save, Maguire booted it over our net, which made my heart stop, by the way, because I thought he'd boot it into the own back of his net, which nearly made me cry. But yeah, apart from that, there's not really many highlights for Maguire, and not really many highlights from Elanga either. So yeah, that's the match reaction for today. Obviously, we've got Bournemouth next, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, apart from that, I hope you all have a great new year. Thank you for watching today's video. If you're still this far into the video, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment and share this video. Subscribe if you're new, and follow me on Twitter. It's on the screen somewhere. So yes, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and Happy New Year.